Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex. Today we got some really cool news that the Giants broke, and essentially is that they hired a new offensive assistant, but this is not some ordinary offensive assistant. His name is Russ Callaway, formerly from Alabama, LSU, and Samford. Now, what is so special about Russ Callaway, you might ask? Well, he's another guy who's worked with Joe Judge back in the Alabama days. He won back-to-back championships with Kirby Smart as the linebackers coach. Now, that was an interesting thing that I wanted to add in here because he's not coming to the Giants as a defensive coach. He's coming as an offensive coach for what he did in Samford. And essentially what he did there was led the FCS in passing yards with his offense and really devised an air raid system that could help them succeed. And I think that's the style the Giants are going, because as we heard from Nick Saban a couple weeks ago, the NFL and college football is going on a more offensive route. You know, running the football and elite defense doesn't get it done anymore. You need to have a high-octane scoring offense to win games since teams are so centralized around the offensive pieces. Now, the Giants did add Kenny Golladay, John Ross, and hopefully another guy in the 2021 NFL Draft. But for now, we're looking at the offense saying, you know, Kenny Golladay even said it himself, I liked the vision of where this offense is going. And I think that says a lot to me about how it's going to change in year two under Jason Garrett. And bringing in a guy like Russ Callaway should only aid in that theory, because essentially, you know, coming from a air raid style offense, then going to LSU in 2020, having another successful season there, high scoring offenses, that's what he's known for. And I think, you know, he's one of those guys that would have climbed, like the Matt Rule type of guy, who would have climbed the ladder in college. Even Ed Orgeron from LSU, their head coach, said that, you know, Russ Callaway is amazing. Like, he's incredible. He was going to be promoted this season, after 2020 and what they did. So really, really exciting stuff there. I really do think that Russ Callaway was an incredible signing for the Giants. Of course, he's another Joe Judge, familiarity, that connection that he has with Alabama. He's just collecting guys from Alabama. Obviously Rob Sale, another one, the offensive line coach. But it's interesting because, he's bringing in all these guys who fit really well together, the mesh, the chemistry, they believe in Joe, and what he's trying to build here, especially with the players they added this offseason. Like Kenny, John Ross, like I mentioned. They still have Daniel Jones, who even Eli Manning had to say is a really, really great talent. I'll read you exactly the quote. He says, I know, this is what Eli Manning said on Daniel Jones. I know he works extremely hard. I know he's committed and dedicated to doing whatever possible. I know it's important for him to have success and to be a leader and to get back to winning football games for the Giants. Having those qualities is the start you need to eventually have success in the NFL. I think he has those things. He of course has the talent, has the ability to make the plays. It's just combining all those together, plus getting the guys around him that can help him. I think that's what the Giants are doing. Now, we just saw today, Ian Rappaport broke that Daniel Jones is hosting a workout with all of his new playmakers. Obviously Kenny Golladay, John Ross, I'm sure Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, they'll all be there. And I like that leadership that Daniel Jones is showing, bringing all of those guys together and getting them, maybe catching Kenny Golladay up to the verbiage of the offensive system that Jason Garrett did implement with the base concepts in 2020. But I do like where this offense is going in terms of, the offseason work, the new faces that they brought in, like a big 6'4" target for Daniel Jones and Golladay, who can be a double-digit touchdown guy. We know he can be wide receiver one when he is healthy. 2019, he had almost 1,200 yards, and he had 11 scores, which led the NFL. So I think that's a big sign. But Russ Callaway with the air raid offense makes me a little bit more excited about this, because we know two things. One, he's coming from Samford prior to LSU, where he devised one of the best offenses in the FCS, if not the best, and one of the best in FCS history. So I really like that about him. The second thing is he already has familiarity with Joe Judge. He knows the type of offense, the type of team he's trying to build here. And also, he was up for a promotion. He was the senior offensive analyst for LSU. He's one of those guys, like I said, he was going to climb that ladder in college and probably get to the NFL eventually anyway. I think Joe Judge spotted a gem before anyone else spotted him. They refer to him as their secret weapon at LSU. They think he is a significant piece. They named it a tremendous loss for them in Callaway going to the Giants now. I think that's an incredible thing. The exact quote from Orgeron was, he is tremendous. I think Russ is going to be a great coach in college football. He already proved himself at Samford and had one of the best offenses in the country. You take that at face value. He also said Russ works strictly with Coach Ensminger as the offensive coordinator, so he is making cut-ups, breaking down film, and knows all the offense and the adjustments Ensminger has to make. He puts them on paper and sits by Ensminger's side all day. Those two work great together. So I think he's going to be a very influential factor for Daniel Jones. I know they have Steven Shaplinski They have a couple really, really great minds around Daniel Jones to help him develop. I think he is going to take a big step forward this year. I think the Giants do see that in him, and I'm starting to see it too. I'm starting to kind of see what they're trying to do with this. Russ is great with quarterbacks, and he has that versatility as a defensive-minded coach as well, which I really liked because for the most part, coming from Alabama as a linebackers coach, winning back-to-back championships, he knows what it takes to win. He knows what it's like to be on the biggest stage, and he knows what it's like to coach both sides of the ball, which is what I think Joe Judge likes. Not only are they getting players that are dynamic, like Jabril Peppers, who can play free safety, strong safety, Logan Ryan, who can do both and play cornerback, Julian Love, who can play all those positions, even Leonard Williams, who can play 3-tech, 5-tech, he can play DT, defensive end if you needed him to. That's what the Giants are trying to do. They're trying to develop a system with versatility and dynamic players, but it's not just the players anymore. It's the coaches, too. They can do different things. They have different coaching specialties. Joe Judge himself is basically a scout, but he loves to coach wide receivers. He loves to coach special teams. He can do it all. That's what he wants to bring in. I think these friends of his are extremely talented. They're from the college coaching tree, and they're going to bring a lot of these winning cultural narratives to the Giants, like from Alabama and LSU and even Samford with him. And I'll tell you what, this is what he ranked when he was at Samford and in terms of his offensive production. He led the nation in passing yards per game with almost 400 per game, 4th ranked offense, 516 yards per game, 8th in red zone offensive efficiency, and 8th in first downs acquired, almost 300. The guy is a stud. He developed an offense that was top 10 in almost every single category of importance for the most part, and he's a big red zone guy. I love that the Giants are bringing in a guy who can really help Daniel Jones in this offense devise really great red zone plays and passing concepts for them, which is going to be fantastic. I mean, when you give a guy like, Russ Callaway, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, devise some plays for us. Let's create some really creative things and get this offense going in the red zone. That's what I see from him. I also think he might be the future offensive coordinator for us. I think that was the gem that Joe Judge found. We know Joe Judge is here for a very long time. Now, I think that Russ Callaway making that jump to offensive coordinator eventually would be a really nice step for him. I think it'll be maybe a couple years down the line. We'll see what happens with Jason Garrett. We'll see what happens with Freddie Kitchens. He might get bumped up there first. Then he might go back to head coaching. I think that they're establishing a lineage here of how they can supplement the losses of coaches. But one thing that the Giants usually haven't done is that they haven't traditionally spent a lot of money in the coaching department. They've really been a little conservative when it comes to spending a ton of money on coaching. But Joe Judge has changed that mentality. He's like, coaching is the most important part. It doesn't matter how good your players are if you don't have the good coaching to maximize their talents. You're spending $72 million on Kenny Golladay, but if you have $1 million coach and a $72 million player, you're not going to be able to devise the plays, the route concepts, everything in between to actually maximize those players all the time. Might not be the case every time, but I think the focus on getting better coaches and Joe Judge establishing this coaching tree that he's familiar with is really, really positive for the Giants. I think this is going to be huge for them moving forward. I'm really excited for Russ Callaway and what he represents in terms of the establishment of an air raid offense. That's special to me because the Giants, as we know, played more of a West Coast dink and dunk offense last year. Just short yardage, run the football, just getting first downs one after another. That was kind of their mentality. No really big plays downfield. A couple of man coverage toss-ups, but for the most part, they were man marking our wide receivers all the time. But another thing Eli Manning said, this is interesting. He said that you don't always need separation for a receiver to get open. You just need the quarterback to throw them open, especially if they have a huge wingspan and height like Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay might not have much separation, but he doesn't need it because with that wingspan, with that length, Daniel Jones can really zip that ball in there, and he has a big target to nail, and I think that's a really interesting point that Eli did make regarding Kenny Golladay, so I'm pretty excited about that, guys. But there's a little quick update for you on Russ Callaway, what he brings from LSU, Alabama, Samford, and why we should be excited about the signing, because I think he might be the potential future offensive coordinator for us as he learns this system, as he gets to know Daniel Jones, as he starts to create plays and new verbiage, and they install the second layer of this offense, because last year was mostly base concepts. Defenses knew we were running. It was a lot of hook slants, curl routes, nothing out of the ordinary. They knew what was coming. They saw it on film. It was pretty obvious in our lineups and sets. So I think we're going to get a little bit more creative this year. The second layer will be applied, and that's exciting for me, and I know it is for you guys too. So let's hope that Russ Callaway is the real deal. He helps behind the scenes. He probably won't be a very influential person on the field to start. but I think he will work his way up there. He will get his voice in the conversation. He will make an impact, even if we don't see it. He'll have an impact on the field. So I'm pretty excited about that, guys. But as always, I thank you so much for tuning into Fireside Giants, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe below on YouTube. Turn on notifications for Apple and Spotify. Much love as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.